Welcome to Little Diamond Yoga Stories with me, Megan. Our Little Diamond Yoga Stories is all about learning a new story and doing some yoga poses as we go along. So copy the moves that I do and try to have some fun. Okay, let's start our yoga as we always do by crossing our legs and sitting on our bottoms, bringing our hands to our heart, and after 3 we'll say our yoga hello, namaste. 1, 2, 3, namaste. Well done. Now in today's story, we are going to learn about a little girl called Joan. Joan is 9.5 years old and she goes to Lister Street School. Let's go into a school pose, standing with our feet apart, bringing our hands to our heart and take them above our head. Well done. Now Joan goes to Lister Street School and also her sister Olive goes there too. She's just started at school. She's 5 years old. One evening, Joan, Olive, and their mum and dad are sitting on the sofa. Come to sitting on your bottom with your knees up. They're sitting on the sofa and they are listening to the radio, moving your ears from the bottom to the top and all the way back down again. The date is September the 3rd, 1939. The Prime Minister comes onto the radio. Come to standing with your feet apart and placing your hands on your hips. Fantastic. The Prime Minister says that England is at war with Germany. The soldiers are shooting each other. Let's go into a shooting pose. Come to sitting with your legs out straight in front of you. And then lean down and hook with 2 of your fingers. Hook them around your big toe and pull back. Ready to shoot. We're going to release it after 3. 1, 2, 3, bang! Fantastic. Let's try that on the other side. Get those 2 fingers on your other hand. Hook them around your big toe, pulling your leg back. 1, 2, 3, bang! Fantastic. The family hear that Joan and Olive are going to be evacuated. Joan and Olive pack their bags, keeping your legs out straight in front of you and taking your arms out wide, twisting to look over one shoulder, getting some clothes. The girls pack some clothes. Let's pop them in our case. Whoop. Taking our hands out wide again and look over the other shoulder this time. And getting some books because they love to read. Let's put them in the bag. Whoop. Taking our arms out wide again, looking over that first shoulder again. Getting some pencils and books, some school things they need to take with them. Whoop. And arms out wide again and looking over that last shoulder. And finally they take a gas mask each. Let's pop that in their bag. Whoop. And then taking your arms up to the air, and let's close our case, bending forwards to touch our toes, bending your knees if you need to. Their cases are packed, come to sitting on your knees, and then their mummy fastens a brown label on their coat that says their name and school. Joan and Olive are ready to go. Their mum opens the door. To sit up, taking one leg out to the side, lift up your opposite arm and let's open the door. Bending over. Well done. Bring back up. They will step outside and then close the door behind them. Taking out your other leg this time and your opposite arm and let's close the door. Bending over. Fantastic. Then they walk to the train station and Joan and Olive get onto the train. Bending your arms at the elbow with your hands flat. That's it. And then we're going to be our train. Going up and down as we spin our arms round and round. Fantastic. On the train, Joan, Olive and all their friends are very excited. They don't know where they are going. As they look out the window, they notice less and less houses and buildings. Go into a building pose. Standing with our legs apart, bring your hands to your heart and take them above your head. Notice less and less houses and buildings, and more trees. Bring those arms down, bring those feet together, and let's go into a tree pose. Taking one foot on top of the other, bringing our hands to our hearts, and grow our tree and open our branches. Let's count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bringing that tree down, keeping our hands at our heart. Swap over your feet, pop the other one on top this time. Grow your tree and open your branches. Let's carry on our counting to 10. Got to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fantastic. Bring that tree down. Eventually, the train stopped. All the children went to sit in a large hall. There was an adult walking around the hall. Let's take some big steps. Let's take 6 big steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As the adults walked around, they were calling children's names off a register. Suddenly, Joan heard her name. Open your ears from the bottom to the top, and all the way back down again. Joan stepped forward. She was given a large trunk of food. Come onto your bottoms and put your feet together so the bottoms of your feet are touching, and then bend forward to show the trunk all closed up. The trunk was full of food for Joan to give to the lady whose house she was going to live in. She lifted it up, ready to go. You need to stand with your feet together and bending forward. We're going to lift up the trunk all the way above our heads. Fantastic, well done. Joan and her sister went to a cafe in Sand House. Taking the feet apart, bringing your hands to your heart and growing above your head into a house pose. They went to the cafe with a lady named Mrs. Puckering. From sitting on your bottoms, your legs out wide in front of you. Mrs. Puckering gave them some orange juice to drink, bending down to one foot to drink our orange juice. Fantastic, coming back up. She also gave them a big cream cake to share, bending down to our other foot to eat our cream cake. Scoot back up. The cake was delicious. Crossing your legs, use one hand to rub your tummy and the other to pat your head. What a delicious cake. And then stop and try and swap your hands, using your other hand to rub your tummy and your other hand to pat your head. Well done. At their new home, Olive had to share a room. In her room there were twin beds to lie on your backs, with your legs out straight, and your hands by your sides. Olive shared a room with another girl from their school. She was younger too. But Joan had her very own bedroom. The house was over the road from a beach. After a rough sea, Joan would sit up in her bed, and sitting on your bottoms, your legs crossed, and have a big stretch. The next morning, after a rough sea, Joan and Mrs. Puckering would head onto the beach. Take your legs out straight in front of you. There, Joan and Mrs. Puckering would pick pieces of driftwood for the fire at home, lifting up one foot and popping it into your elbow with the other arm, and then scooping your other arm round to carry that heavy driftwood. Fantastic, let's pop that one down, and then pick up our other leg to pick up some more driftwood. Because the more driftwood they got, cosier their fire would be at home. Pushing that leg back down. Fantastic. Their new school was up a big, steep hill. Come to standing with your feet together. Every day they had to climb, taking a big step, that big hill to get to school. It was very, very tiring. Some days a lady with a 3-wheeler car would give 6 children a lift up the hill. Come to sitting on your bottoms, your legs out straight in front of you, turning on your engine as the car bends around this corner on the hill, and the car bends around this corner on the hill, and then leaning back as it's going up that steep hill. Joan was unsure how this tiny car could hold the weight of all those people, but she was grateful for a lift up that big, big hill, turning off her engine. Well done. The school they went to was a small village school. Coming onto your knees, taking your knees slightly apart, bring your hands to your heart a little above your head to show a small school. Well done. 2 classes were sat together in the hall, going to sit down on your knees. One class had to face one way, taking one hand and popping on the other thigh, and then turning to look over your shoulder. One class had to look one way to have their lessons, and the other class coming forward was sat back to back with them, taking your other hand on the opposite thigh and looking over your shoulder. They were sat back to back with them to have their lessons. Both lessons in the same room, taught by different teachers. On a Sunday, Joan, Olive, and the other little girl sharing Olive's room would get a lift to church on the milk cart, and the milk cart was pulled by horses. Coming to sit up on your knees and take one foot out in front of you so your leg is bent at the knee. Take your hands to your heart a little above your head, and then we're going to clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop, just like a horse. Bringing those hands down and then swapping our knees. Take the other foot in front this time, lifting those hands above your head, and clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop. Bringing those hands back down. Well done. The children would squash up on the seat next to the milkman, coming to stand your feet together, and then bending your knees as though you're sitting in a chair. The milkman held on tight to the reins, holding those reins in front of you, and then bouncing up and down. It was quite a bumpy ride. Fantastic. On a Saturday, Joan would get her pocket money. She would get 6 shillings. Let's clap and count to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well done. Joan took her pocket money to the local shop, and there she would look at the sweeties on offer. Come to sitting on your bottoms, your legs out wide in front of you, bending down to one foot to take a look at the sweeties there. Back up, and then bending to the other foot and looking at the sweeties there. Joan would buy 6 fruit drops and 1 licorice with her pocket money. But on some Saturdays, instead of going to the shop, Joan would get the bus to Whitby, and there she would look around the shops and go to lie on the beach, coming to lie on your tummies, and then pushing yourselves up on your forearms as she lies on the beach and looks around. At Christmas, they would go to Mulgrave Castle. Let's go into a turret pose, standing up, with our feet apart, and then lifting both our arms above our head in a straight line, like a turret on a castle. At the castle lived a real marchioness. She was a very old lady. Bringing your arms down, pop your feet together, bending your knees, and then cross one foot over the top of the other, so your legs are crossed at the knee. And then put one arm out in front of you in a straight line, and bring your other arm underneath, scooping it up. And if you can, try to pop your hands so they're touching together. She was a very old lady, and she ate 12 courses at every meal. And between each meal, she rang a bell. Come to standing with your legs together and ringing that bell, hooking your hands together and lifting them up and down, up and down. Well done. After Joan and Olive had been living with Mrs. Puckering for 8 months, unfortunately her husband had an accident. Joan and Olive had to go and live at Mulgrave Castle, after sitting on your bottoms, hugging your knees. They didn't like it there. It was cold and scary. Rubbing your ears to try and calm you down. It's not very nice at Mulgrave Castle, and rubbing your jaw. To make her feel better, crossing your legs, Joan would often give Olive a big hug to keep her safe, opening your arms out wide and wrap yourselves up in a big hug. Well done. Eventually, Joan and Olive were allowed to go home. They were so excited, and silent cheers to the sky show how excited they are. They couldn't wait to see their mum. They had missed her so much. The night before they were going home, Joan lay back in her bed, and to lie on your backs, with your legs out straight and your arms by your sides. Joan thought about what had happened to them over all that time. She didn't like leaving her mummy and daddy. She knew it was the right thing to do to keep her and Olive safe until the war was over. She had a lovely time with Mrs. Puckering. Now, Joan and Olive didn't like Mulgrave House very much, but at least they knew they were safe and well, and they were able to remain together. And now it was all over, and they were able to head home to be a family again. She couldn't wait. If things are wiggling, your toes are wiggle, lift up your knees and give them a hug. And then roll onto your side and push yourselves up onto your bottoms, your legs crossed, bringing your hands to your heart. And after 3, we'll say our yoga goodbye. Namaste. 1, 2, 3. Namaste. Thanks for joining me for Diamond Yoga Stories today. See you again soon. Bye.